Every part of your brain works to operate and maintain your body's functions, from the most basic tasks of breathing and allowing your heart to beat to guiding you through the championship basketball game. Cells called neurons, with many branches to transmit information, stretch throughout your nervous system to share messages across the brain and to the rest of your body. The brain itself can be divided into three main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Your cerebrum can be broken up even further into four lobes. These include the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. The frontal lobe controls your thinking, decision-making, and planning. Whether you are picking a movie to watch, cramming for a math test, or carefully mixing chemicals in the chemistry lab, your frontal lobe is working full-time. It helps us to think about the effects an action may have in the future. The frontal lobe helps us to process and recall long-term memories, such as that birthday party you had when you were 9, or the first time you picked up a trumpet. It helps us to control our own emotions, as well as empathize with the emotions of others. It also helps us to speak fluently. The frontal lobe even controls your attention span. The motor cortex is towards the back of the frontal lobe. This area controls voluntary movements like running or lifting heavy objects. The parietal lobe, also known as the sensory cortex, receives information from your skin and sensory organs. It allows you to feel when something is too hot, taste something that's bitter, or feel a slimy surface. The parietal lobe has to be able to process this information in seconds. It also helps you to find your location in relation to things around you, including yourself. Because of your parietal lobe, you are able to touch your index finger to your ear without looking in a mirror first. Lastly, this lobe assists in hand-eye coordination, so you can hit a baseball deep into left field or pour milk into your glass instead of all over the floor. The auditory cortex is in the temporal lobe and helps you hear. It takes in the sound and also assists you in comprehending speech. The temporal lobe makes sense of all the sounds and pitches that an individual hears. Basically, this means that without your temporal lobe, not only could you not tell the difference between your 4-year-old cousin and your grandpa's voices, but they might sound a bit like Charlie Brown's teacher. It helps you to name things and people around you, recognize languages, and recall conversations you have had. The temporal lobe also forms those visual memories you can recall using your frontal lobe. Finally, the temporal lobe controls reactions like hunger, thirst, and appetite. The visual cortex is located in your occipital lobe towards the rear of your brain. It helps us to correctly see and understand what our eyes are trying to show us. Much like the temporal lobe controls our hearing, without our occipital lobe, we could not process the images in front of us. It helps you to determine distances, depths, and sizes. It also helps you to identify familiar faces, objects, and areas. As you can see, many of the body's functions are thanks to a specific section of the brain. Others are possibly due to multiple sections all working together, like a puzzle. These functions allow your body to be successful in everything it needs to accomplish.